Donald Trump spent the majority of Mother's Day doing exactly what you would expect Donald Trump to do, going on a Twitter meltdown over the way Meet the Press, and specifically Chuck Todd, talked about William Barr's decision to basically drop the case against former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn. Now, what Chuck Todd did in the segment about this was show the exact same video clip, which we showed here on TYT. It was when William Barr was being interviewed and he was asked about how history would look back at the decision that he made. And here's how it went.
You brought up Bill Barr. Peggy Noonan, I want you to listen to this Bill Barr answer to a question about what will history say about this. Wait till you hear this answer. Take a listen.
When history looks back on this decision, how do you think it will be written?
Well, history's written by the winner, so it largely depends on who's writing the history.
I was struck, Peggy, by the cynicism of the answer. It's a correct answer, but he's the Attorney General. He didn't make the case that he was upholding the rule of law. He was almost admitting that, yeah, this is a political job.
And I happen to agree with Chuck Todd. William Barr did not make the case throughout that entire interview that he was upholding the rule of law. But now Trump and his lackeys are pretending as though Meet the Press took that clip out of context. They argue that if you allow the clip to play longer, you'll hear William Barr share incredibly important details that justify his actions. So one of the tweets that you probably saw over the weekend by Donald Trump was the following: Sleepy Eyes Chuck Todd should be fired by Comcast NBC for his fraud. He knew exactly what he was doing. Public airwaves equal fake news. And of course, he included the FCC chair, Ajit Pai, to that tweet. That was one of many tweets on this issue. Again, Trump loves to have his weekend meltdowns, even on a day when he's supposed to be celebrating the mother of his children, or one of his children. But here's the full context, because I want you guys to watch the full context for yourselves. And then I want you to ask yourselves, is this something that Meet the Press should have apologized for? Take a look.
When history looks back on this decision, how do you think it will be written?
Well, history's written by the winner, so it largely depends on who's writing the history. But I think a fair history would say it was a good decision because it upheld the rule of law. It upheld the standards of the Department of Justice, and it undid what was an injustice.
So Meet the Press ended up apologizing, even though the so-called full context does not change what William Barr said at all. He did not provide justification for dropping the case against Michael Flynn, who pleaded guilty to lying to the FBI in the Russia investigation. Here's the apology, and then Cenk, I want your thoughts. You're correct. Earlier today, we inadvertently and inaccurately cut short a video clip of an interview with Attorney General Barr before offering commentary and analysis. The remaining clip included important remarks from the Attorney General that we missed, and we regret the error. They're so afraid of Republican backlash, even though they did nothing wrong here. It blows my mind.
So, first of all, Chuck Todd, now, of course, trending on Twitter, fire Chuck Todd, and obviously Trump is egging that on. Not only should he not be fired, they should have never apologized in the first place. So, is Barr saying we did the right thing? Of course he's saying that. We all know that. He's not going to come out and go, oh, yeah, we lied. Flynn's totally guilty. It's an unbelievable miscarriage of justice, but we did it because might makes right, and etc. And I would add, if I was making up a ridiculous overstatement, and hey, history's written by the winners. Except he did say that part. He even said that part. So the context does not help Barr at all. So it's what is it, Anna? Over 2,000 former Department of Justice officials wrote a letter saying that William Barr should resign because they're like, no, this is an unbelievable miscarriage of justice. So Flynn has admitted in open court twice, yes, I lied to the FBI. And Barr, throughout that interview, we covered it. We gave you the full context. His thesis was, well, yes, he lied, and that's illegal, but there was no underlying crime and he should have never been investigated in the first place. So wait a minute. If there was no underlying crime and he should have never been investigated, why was he lying about meeting with the Russian ambassador? Why would you lie about that? So that goes to show you they really should have been investigating because he was clearly covering something up. But throughout, Barr's like, yeah, whatever. We did the right thing. And then with a smirk on his face, as you saw, he said, hey, history's written by the winners. And almost looking exactly like Pepe the Frog that he is, as he stated that. So Chuck Todd was right to play that clip. And look, here's a guy, me, and Anna, by the way, us being principled. We have criticized Chuck Todd a lot of times on this program, and I think absolutely rightfully so. But that is a constructive critique based on actual facts. Here, you know, if a progressive brought this case against Chuck Todd on Meet the Press, it is impossible. Comical to think that they would have changed the story or apologized. There's no way they would have done that. But the Republicans go, boo, and they're like, oh, sorry. And then they apologize for no reason. You should have the spine to back up Chuck Todd here. Instead, NBC, as usual, with most of the mainstream media, absolutely cowers in front of the Republicans.
It's been revealed now through leaked documents that General Flynn was set up by the FBI. And it doesn't matter why. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it does. I have my own theory on why they did that. There's plenty of reasons. But it was revealed that it was bullshit what the FBI did to General Flynn. They entrapped him. And one of the guys in charge of that investigation, they got him for lying to the FBI. The guy in charge of that investigation, McCabe, he's admitted to lying to the FBI 3 times himself. He's out of jail. So this is one big criminal investigation that's being revealed to be a criminal. It wasn't investigating criminals. It was people being criminal while they were investigating a supposed crime. And so now that they're investigating that, and how am I doing on that with the General Flynn thing? General Flynn was charged with lying to the FBI about a phone call that he had with a Russian ambassador, and they tried to use this thing called the Logan's Act, or they brought it up to invoke, which is a statute that has never been used in 150 years. And so it was real shady what they did to General Flynn. And so now that they're investigating it, Attorney General William Barr is reversing the course of the Justice Department and saying that they're apologizing to General Flynn. And how am I doing on that, Aaron? Do I got the story right?
Yeah, basically, the DOJ under Barr is dropping the case. I realized, I think accurately, that it was baseless. I mean, it was never clear what Flynn actually lied about. And we've since got all these releases showing that there was a lot of maneuvering behind the scenes to try to entrap Flynn. And the broader picture here is that it was one piece of a deliberate effort by intelligence officials to push forward this Trump-Russia collusion narrative and keep that investigation going and ultimately get a special counsel appointed. It basically was a scam, and it was a scheme. Flynn was a key part of it.
And so now I'm going to show you how NBC reports this. This is Meet the Press. This is their flagship news show doing straight up propaganda to fit a narrative that they've been pushing since Trump got elected. And that narrative is that Trump is breaking all the norms and he's lawless and they're doing it right out in the open, right? So that's the narrative. And so now William Barr is being interviewed about dropping the charges against Flynn. And here's how Chuck Todd covered this. You ready for this? Watch this deceptive editing.
You brought up Bill Barr. Peggy Noonan, I want you to listen to this Bill Barr answer to a question about what will history say about this. Wait till you hear this answer. Take a listen.
When history looks back on this decision, How do you think it will be written?
Well, history's written by the winner, so it largely depends on who's writing the history.
I was struck, Peggy, by the cynicism of the answer. It's a correct answer, but he's the Attorney General. He didn't make the case that he was upholding the rule of law. He was almost admitting that, yeah, this is a political job.
Okay, that's not what he was doing. In fact, he actually did say all those things that Chuck Todd said he didn't say, and I'm going to play it for you right now. Here's the second part of what he said. Watch this.
When history looks back on this decision, how do you think it will be written?
Well, history's written by the winner, so it largely depends on who's writing the history. But I think a fair history would say it was a good decision because it upheld the rule of law. It upheld the standards of the Department of Justice, and it undid what was an injustice.
So he said all those things that Chuck Todd literally said he didn't say. That's their number one newsman, who never graduated college, by the way. Number one newsman, completely lying, 100%. That's as bad or worse than anything I've ever seen Sean Hannity or Glenn Beck or Alex Jones ever do. And so he got called out. So a spokesperson for the DOJ, Carrie Kupak, said very disappointed by the deceptive editing and commentary by Chuck Todd on Meet the Press. And then he put the transcripts up to show you what actually was said and how Chuck deceptively. Meet the Press had to apologize. Meet the Press comes out and says, you're correct. Earlier today, we inadvertently and inaccurately cut short a video clip of an interview with Attorney General Barr before offering commentary and analysis. The remaining clip included important remarks from the Attorney General that we missed, and we regret the error. Okay, it wasn't an error. You didn't miss it. You did it on purpose to create a more salacious news story that fitted a narrative that you've been pushing for 4 fucking years, you liars. You bought and paid for corporate murderous liars. That's what NBC News is. And now they make you think William Barr. Well, let me throw it to you, Aaron. Do you have any commentary on that great journalism by America's number one journalist, Chuck Todd?
Well, this is what happens when you're a corporate tool. You can't challenge power in an actual meaningful way. So you can't point out the power of the military-industrial complex. You can't take on the big corporations who run everything, because these corporations also happen to own your network and pay your salaries. So you have to find ways to pose as being a real journalist and being a real truth teller and being a real challenge to power, and work within those narrow confines. So doing things like this, so going after individual Trump officials deceptively is one way to be a resistance champion. Jim Acosta of CNN does this too. You know, he asked Trump a mean question and gets thrown out of news conferences. That we're supposed to think that because that he's brave and somehow challenges power. But what he really is a performance artist. And that's what Chuck Todd is here too, is he finds ways to nail people and critique them within a very small framework that turns out to be fraudulent in this case. And, you know, it's funny that this is one example. This is a rare example where they actually have to admit their mistakes. But when they, push Russiagate and get that all wrong, or they demonize the government of Venezuela, which is what Chuck Todd loves to do, or any other target of the U.S. government, it's carte blanche. They can do whatever they want. Here, though, it was so egregious that he got called on it. So,
I mean, just take in for a moment what's actually happening here. What's actually happening here is that the Justice Department is righting a wrong that the FBI and the intelligence community has been perpetrating on our own country by pushing an evidence-free conspiracy theory for their own purposes, and the news media has been going right along with them because it makes them lots of money. Remember, as Ted Koppel says, the news media loves Donald Trump. They're making buckets of money. They love him. That's why they cover his empty podium instead of Bernie Sanders' speeches. That's why. So what's really happening here is that the news media colluded with the intelligence community, the Democratic Party, to screw and lie about Donald Trump and Russiagate. And now the Department of Justice is righting those wrongs, and they're lying about that. And now you wonder why half the country doesn't believe the news. And when Donald Trump says it's fake news, it lands because it is fake news. And NBC is the enemy of America. I know you're not supposed to say that, but it's a fucking fact. They're not your friend. They're your enemy. They're the oligarchs. They're the people that are oppressing you. They're the people that are pushing the propaganda to keep you dumb. That's what Chuck Todd is doing, and he wants you to be as dumb as he is, because he actually believes that shit. That's how dumb Chuck Todd is. That's why he has that job. He doesn't have that job because he's smart, a good reporter, or that he has integrity. He has that job because he lacks integrity, he's easily malleable, and he's been pre-selected to do the bidding of the fucking oligarchs. Guys like me and Aaron have been weeded out long ago. That's what Chuck Todd is. And you know what I love is that they try to pretend that William Barr now is some kind of pariah, criminal, doesn't care about the Constitution, the most lawless guy in the world. They make you think William Barr is, right? When William Barr is really a member of the club. He's a member of their club. And you want to know how I know? Here's Joe Biden talking about William Barr.
It's a presumptuous thing for me to say, but I personally like you. I think you're a heck of an honorable guy. I think you're someone I can work with, and you've demonstrated that. When I say can work with, I don't mean you do it our way. I mean when you sit down and negotiate, you genuinely negotiate.
But now you would listen to him, and these guys are Himmler. He's Himmler now. I always think that I'm beyond outrage, but I guess I'm not. That is stunning that Chuck Todd decided to do that. And he did it in such an amateur way that they had to apologize for it. I mean, I don't even know what to say. Do you have anything you'd like to say to this?
I have nothing to add. I think you captured it well.
Okay. Aaron Mate, everybody check out Pushback. And what is your URL over there? The Gray Zone?
TheGrayZone.com.
Grayzone.com. Everybody check it out. It's always glad that you make time for us. You're always got some great information. Thanks for filling in our audience on this, Aaron. And I hope to talk to you soon.
Sounds good. Thank you, Jimmy.
Okay, buddy.